So I was going to talk about New Year's resolutions that failed, and I'm also hoping to get a little bit of group participation here. If you want to commiserate with me, the one that I always did. There were two that I always did for years and years and years, and that was the quit smoking and the lose weight and eat better thing. And every year I would swear that, okay, this is going to be the year that I'm going to get rid of that foul habit. And a foul habit that I started later in life than most folks, by the way. Because if you ask smokers when they started, oftentimes, and I don't know if it's a majority, but oftentimes you will hear stories about them starting in their teens. Yeah, man, we were like behind a garage, man, and just kind of chilling because Joe was working on the Buick. He was trying to jack it up in the back, And so Joe pulls out a pack of smokes. I'm like, dude, you smoke? Man, I didn't know that. So yeah, man, check this out, brother. These are cools, man. You're gonna love this, man. This is basically this is the bomb, man. Try it, man. See if you like it, man. Ooh, man, that's like is that menthol? Yeah, brother, that's menthol. You're gonna love that, man. That's nice, dude. That's cool. It's like mellow, man. And that's what you heard. Yeah, mostly people started smoking in their teens. When I was in my teens, I played saxophone. I played in a band that played in clubs and bars that, as a 16-year-old, I couldn't get into otherwise. And I would be sick as a dog at the end of the evening because there were smoking in those clubs. And, I'm playing a woodwind instrument, taking in all this air, and I would be sick by the end of the evening at times. And I swore I would never smoke a cigarette to save my life. I did not smoke a cigarette in my teens at all. I started smoking in my early 20s because I was dating a woman who picked up the habit while she was still away in college. She came home on a break for Thanksgiving, and we went out to dinner. I think it was before Thanksgiving because she was home for, I think, a week. And we went out for dinner. And at the end of the meal, we were in a restaurant. She reaches into her purse. She opens her purse up, and she pulls out a cigarette and a lighter. And she's like, "Oh, Monica, what are you doing there?" I said, "Oh, this is just something I picked up at school." So I'm like, oh my God, she's smoking. What do I do? I don't smoke. And I thought, you know what? Live and let live. Whatever. She wants to smoke. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. So I adjusted to the fact that she smoked. And then I bought a lighter because, the gentlemanly thing to do, the sexy kind of guy thing, is that, yeah, give me them smokes, And you light up 2 cigarettes. And of course it was just one. And actually I didn't do it myself. She would put the cigarette in her mouth and then I'd light it for her. That's the first step. Okay. Then the next step is you put the cigarette in your mouth and then you light it and you cough. How can you do this? And then you hand her the cigarette and then she smokes. Then the next step, I started carrying cigarettes for her. I would buy a pack of cigarettes, the brand that she smoked. I'd like a pack of Virginia Slims. Oh, really now? Oh, okay, girly man. Virginia Slims, eh? It was the 80s, People had different attitudes back then, so please forgive me. It's just the way it was. And I'd buy the cigarettes and, we'd go to a restaurant or wherever. And she'd reach in her, oh, no. I got you covered. I reach into my pocket, pull out the pack of Virginia Slims, light one for her, hand it to her. Oh, Juan, thank you. You're such a gentleman. Ooh. And, always make the good impression, be the gentleman, be attentive, be, supportive, whatever. And it was like a foul habit that, it's like, it's no good for you. And I knew that because I was coughing, in those clubs when I was playing saxophone. And then it happened. One day, I was at work. I was a young advertising copywriter at the time, working for Sears Roebuck, writing retail advertising. And, we used to produce hundreds of ads a month. We worked 6 months ahead of schedule. We're working on ads while ads are being printed and ads are being put in the paper. Okay. All that stuff, I was a published author. Up to 20 million people every week could see my work. But usually what y'all did is you threw that stuff away and you went right for the sports section on Sundays. You didn't read what I was written. I wrote some great copy for washers and dryers and Craftsman tools, and you guys never read it. So shame on you. All my work went to waste. You wonder why I started smoking. Actually, on this particular day, I was one of the worst days anybody in the workspace has ever had. I got kicked around. The meetings were bad. The work was just like, Juan, you call this ad copy? Take it, rewrite this. We can't handle that. It won't fit the ads and everything. Just go back and redo this. Okay, all right. And Juan, need to see you in the office for a minute. And it's the art director. This layout you gave me, there's no possible way the merchandise is going to fit into this layout. You're going to have to redo this. Oh, jeez. All right, fine, whatever. Just a word. I mean, I've just felt like a cat who got kicked by a mean owner. So I'm dragging my butt on the way home, and I get off the bus and I'm walking. I said, stop, I stopped before I got home. I got off the bus and I was thinking, I got to get a drink or something. And I just kind of, my hand brushed across my shirt pocket, like, oh, those are the Monica cigarettes. I wonder, I hear they can calm me down. So I pull a cigarette out. Get a lighter, because I had the lighter too. Oh, man, I feel better. Oh, God. Oh, man, I'm so much more relaxed now. That's all it took. That's all it took, that one bad day, and I was hooked. And from that day on, I had the habit, and it lasted over 20 years. And if not for the stretch of poverty that I had, that was really, really bad, where I could no longer afford to buy the cigarettes, I'd probably still be smoking today through the pandemic, and God only knows what it would have done to my lungs. The pandemic and the smoking on top of it, compounded. So if you smoke, it's your choice. I don't pass judgments or anything, but I don't, because I'm just not a judgmental person. I believe in live and let live. And I learned a long time ago that you can't change a person if they don't want to be changed. And what right do you have to even think that you should change them? So if you smoke, just seriously consider the consequences, because I mean, the athletic career, gone. My great smile is falling apart. I used to have a great smile. It ain't there anymore. It's just, smoking sucks. And every year I tried to quit, but always. There were 2 times when I was successful for about a month. But circumstances, when you're going through the same routines, hanging out with the same people, going to the same places after work, there was a bar in the bowels of Sears Tower on Friday nights, like the advertising department was there. Basically, it took over the whole place. You have art directors over here, copywriters over there, management people over there, and they're all in the bar, hanging out, drinking and laughing and stuff, One gal was just kind of calmly drinking with her friends, and a male stripper came down. It was her birthday, and he's like dancing, taking half his freaking clothes off, while the rest of us are having to watch this dude's butt gyrating in her face. Like, oh, jeez. And she turned beet red. I mean, redder than this jacket I'm wearing. But I smoked. And people around me smoke. Not everybody smoked. There are some people like, do you have to smoke? I said, okay, I'll go to the other side of the room. Because I was always very respectful when I smoked. I remember going to Wrigley Field with a crowd of advertising folks. And we were in the grandstands. And can't remember who the Cubs played that day. For some reason, I'm thinking it might have been the Cardinals, Gil. Back then, the Cubs probably would have lost to them, though. There was someone, I heard someone behind me, complaining about cigarette smoke. And I was sitting right in front of them, and I was smoking a cigarette. So I turned, because you could still do that back then in the 80s. It was in mid-80s, I think. And so I thought, oh, no, I can't. I don't want to disrupt this. So I put the cigarette out, and I turned around, and I apologized to the guys behind. I said, listen, I heard you. I overheard you, and I'm not going to have another cigarette for the rest of the game. And I apologize if the smoke caused you any problems or anything. And then I turned away. And I heard the guy say to his companion, I didn't know he was smoking. So apparently the smoke was coming from someone else, but I didn't care. I knew if I thought I was being disrupted, I put the cigarette out. There was a restaurant that my mother and I used to go to for breakfast on Saturday mornings, or sometimes Sundays after church if I went to church with her, and which wasn't every Sunday. Maybe I should have. I don't know. But it was in downtown Chicago in the Loop. It was called, what was the name of that restaurant? It was just a little breakfast place on State Street near Adams, right downtown in the shopping district. And we would go there quite often for breakfast. I always had a ham and cheese omelet, and you could smoke, and in the restaurant. Then, as you know, smoking became more regulated. They had a designated smoking section, but it was in the front of the restaurant. They should have moved us to the back of the restaurant, but for whatever reason, I think maybe because the owner smoked, he allowed smoking in the front of the restaurant, and they had them in the back for non-smoking. So this was one day I was there solo. Mom was already in California, and I had a hankering for the ham and cheese omelets that this place made because they were really great. So I went there on a Sunday morning. I didn't go to church. Sorry, Mom. And I was having the omelet, and after I'm done, I instinctively, reflexively light the cigarette. So a couple of young gals had come into the restaurant, and I heard one of them say, well, do you allow smoking here? And because apparently they saw me smoking. And so he said, yeah, well, we have a non-smoking section in the back. And I'm thinking, well, that kind of sucks. So they went in the back to the non-smoking section because there was supposedly some extra ventilation back there. And it would so I overheard their conversation because it's a small place. And I heard the one girl say, oh, I don't think we'll be able to stay, And they had ordered their breakfast, okay? And I said, and I heard one girl saying, this smoke, I'm not sure I can handle it. So I put my cigarette out, and I didn't have a cigarette for the rest of the time I was there. And when I left, I paid for my breakfast at the counter. I said to the owner, I said, those two girls back there, I'm buying their breakfast because I feel terrible that they're having a bad time. And he said, oh my gosh, yeah, just let them know. I don't want to go back and say, just you can let them know if you want, whatever. But whatever they're having for breakfast here, I'm paying for it. And I did. And I don't know what happened. I don't know how they reacted to it or whatever. I think my mother went there after that, and she said the owner said something to her about it, that he thought it was such a nice gesture that I did. But that's the only time I heard about it, because he mentioned it to my mother. Because, I just, if you're going to have a foul habit like that, you also need to be considerate to those who don't have that foul habit. I always felt that way. And when smoking was regulated and you had to go to designated smoking areas, I just like a duck to water. Like when you have to wear seatbelts, I put the seatbelt on. They want you to wear a mask, I wear a mask. I mean, I'm just that kind of guy. And if somebody, if I don't do something, like if I'm smoking at Wrigley Field and I hear them complaining about cigarette, I'm not going to ask if I'm the guy causing the smoking, the issue. I just put the cigarette out and be done with it. It's just my nature. What can I say? I'm not looking for attaboys or kudos or anything. That's just the way I am, is all. But I never was able to quit until I was too poor to afford it, to afford continuing, because cigarette prices are through the roof now. Cartons of cigarettes, when I started smoking, I think you could buy for $10. And they might have even been less, but I wasn't buying cartons back then. I was buying individual packs that cost like $1.50. Nowadays, I think the last price I saw for a carton of cigarettes was like around $70-$80, and they might be even more than that. A carton is 10 packs of cigarettes, in case you're not aware, in case you don't smoke. So, and each pack has 20 cigarettes in it, so that's 200 cigarettes, and $80 versus $10, because the idea is these governments tax the hell out of these cigarettes because they figure there's a hardcore group of smokers who are going to smoke no matter what. And as long as it's still legal to do so, they're going to just tax the hell out of it. I always believed that was the solution for legalizing drugs, is that you legalize all drugs, you regulate the hell out of it, and you tax the ever-loving crap out of it. And then those people who are determined to have their fix, they will buy it. And then you can fund schools, you can rebuild roads, you can make sure there's proper law enforcement and that they're properly trained from the tax revenue that you generate from legalized drugs. But, That's another can of worms. That opens up controversy. See, and then we're back to where I started the show, and I didn't want to go. So